been having a lot of fun using my low skill point Kestrel character in factional warfare, and I'm still using the micro warp drive on the Fit, and I prefer it a lot. And I know I've done a video similar to this, but I really want to spell out why I prefer micro warp drives over afterburners, even in factional warfare. So I really like the I feel like afterburners are incredibly limited, and for lack of a better term, there's a lot more RNG involved in whether you win or lose at beacons in factional warfare based on how your opponent is fit and where the fight starts in relation to the beacon. For example, if you're in an afterburner fit Kestrel and a comet is coming in, you can pull range and weigh at 8 kilometers, and if he's blaster fit, you'll win pretty easily. But if he's long range kite or just rail fit with scram and web, you will lose. And you have no time to react to your opponent's weapon system or fit. With other long range kiters, you basically win or lose depending on whether they manage to crawl out of your web range or not. And I don't like that. I'd like to be a lot more consistent. And so with the micro warp drive, I can easily wait 30 kilometers off the beacon and look at my opponent's ship first and see how he is fit before I decide to engage. And I know what the optimal play is and how I can fight that ship and try to execute that play. If the enemy ship is afterburner fit, you can just troll them and just wait off the beacon, and he'll never be able to catch you, and you're not at any risk of dying to the afterburner trap fits at all. So you can just wait for them to refit to micro warp drive, or they'll just disappear and they won't come back. And unlike an afterburner fit, I can fight long range kiters quite easily, where AB fits are sort of hard countered by micro warp drive counters. And I can also fight other micro warp drive brawlers too. And another reason why I love micro warp drives instead of afterburners is that because I'm using rockets and I don't have perfect skills on the character that I'm using, I'll apply much more of my damage, and I can damage to my opponent's ships. And I can also use Tech 2 Rage Rockets. Rage Rockets actually apply full damage to almost every frigate in the game if they are scrammed and webbed and they don't have an afterburner. And because obviously I don't have guided missile precision level 5, and frigates with afterburners will just be able to mitigate so much more rocket damage, even from Caldari Navy rockets. You won't apply full damage to other ships if they have an afterburner, and this is not a problem that other turret ships have, because if two afterburner turret ships are fighting, the angular velocity between them, the traversal velocity, when you cancel it out, the relative velocity will be the same. So it's not really much of a problem with two afterburner frigates fighting each other. But with an afterburner rocket ship fighting an afterburner another ship, there'll be a lot more damage mitigation, and you'll do a lot less DPS. Another reason why I don't like the afterburner on the Kestrel is that you don't really gain that much more. It's not as much of an upgrade for you to fit the afterburners of the micro warp drive than other ships. For example, the only thing on my Kestrel fit that you're going to get is you're going to be able to upgrade your named medium extender to a Tech 2 extender. And it doesn't justify how much better a lot of turret ships get. And also, we don't need capacitor at all. Even with the micro warp drive fit, it's actually completely stable, even with the below average skill points that I have on my Kestrel character. So by allowing other people to use afterburners, you're giving them much better capacitor stats, and this helps a lot of other frigates that are not you. So you definitely want to fit a micro warp drive in that case. And in factional warfare, even though the Kestrel is a slow ship, I've found slingshotting people not too difficult, because not a lot of micro warp drive long range ships in factional warfare are actually used to dealing with micro warp drive brawlers, because, well, there aren't that many of them. They're mostly just used to fighting afterburner scram fits that they easily kill, or other disruptor micro warp drive kiters where it doesn't really matter if they get rammed, if you know what I mean. Like, their positioning doesn't really matter in that fight, because they're both just micro warp drive disrupt kiters. And micro warp drive, as you know, is very good at splitting people up on grid as well. So I hope you really enjoy my Kestrel video of me mostly killing Federation Navy comets. So let's just go over this first fight pretty quickly. There's a Tristan with this Federation Navy comet. First of all, they were a bit hesitant to split up a bit, but I was able to come in a bit closer and try and bait the comet out. And this is something you wouldn't be able to do with an afterburner. This is something that only micro warp drive Fit Kestrel will be able to do. So I'm just trying to bait the Comet into coming at me. I want the Tristan to be at least 100 kilometers away. That way he's outside his drone control range, and the Tristan only has an afterburner, whereas the Comet has a micro warp drive. So I can split them up quite easily because they have different props. And the Comet burns into my missiles here, which is something which is really cool with rockets. Is if you burn away from your target and they are chasing you, you can get a lot of free damage in on them. And the Federation Navy Comet is a powerful ship. It has 3 drones as well, so even if I kite him outside the range of his weapon system, he's still going to be able to do a consistent 60 DPS or so to me. And he has the advantage of having a lot of hit points by being a factional ship. But as you can see here, I'm able to get the scramble web on him, and we're able to just coast out of range, and we're able to consistently just start the fight at 10 kilometers, as you can see here. I'm coming into about half shields now. This is mostly just from his drones, but he's already in structure at this point, and we are breaking him through his reps. He only got 1 cycle off, as you can see there, and he's just going down. I did get taken into armor by him and his drones, but we were able to kill this Comet pretty handily, and able to send him home to his pod station. So this is a fight against another Comet. This Comet has blasters. I checked just before as he landed, and they're burning away. Basically what I want him to do is I want him to burn into me. I'm reloading to Nova Rage, of course, against the Comet. It's probably the best damage type, even though it does have quite a lot of shield HP, and my rockets won't actually do too much damage to his shields. But I'm basically just trying to burn away, and by burning in the direct, he has to burn towards me, and I'm just burning in a random direction in space. And by the time we both scram and web each other, even though he is a lot faster than me, essentially what I'm trying to do is just my inertia will carry him out, and we'll scram and web each other at the same time, and basically it'll start the fight at a very favourable distance for me. I want to start the fight at like 8 kilometers or something, so that I can get, and also as he's burning into me, he takes damage as well. That's important too. And the Comet's fast enough that it doesn't take too much damage as it's coming in, but any extra damage you can get, it really helps when you're fighting a faction ship, especially the Comet, because of the drones. And Comet is quite strong as well, because of this is a whole tank Comet with a decent fit. And this guy probably has better skill points than me too. You know, my character only has about 6 million skill points that are relevant to the Kestrel. And he goes down. So this is a rematch against the same guy. He came back in another Comet. This time he wasn't in a whole Comet. He was actually in like a faster fit Comet. He was still blasters, but he had overdrive injector and a speed rig instead. It's kind of interesting. So same tactic again. I just aligned towards the sun. I checked for his weapon system first, just to make sure if it's rails or not. It was blasters, I believe, and so we're just aligning to the sun. And I'm actually firing rockets here, and they're not doing anything. I was sort of hoping that he would burn into my rockets and take damage. As you can see, we just want to I dropped my we drop heat here, and just we just want him to slowly ease into us, and just so he slowly comes into point scram range, and we can just as you can see here from the notification, I'm just spamming scram and web. We just want to get scram and web on, and just coast at 10 kilometers, just like this. As you can see, we've got decent heads. We've got a decent start here. And drones from the Comets does quite a lot of DPS. He does actually get a few decent hits on me. Null on Comet, especially this faster one is able to actually close in on me a bit faster. We just wear down the Comet over time, and that's all there is to it really. And remember, Comet will have a lot more trouble with capacitor with a micro warp drive fit, but we don't care about micro warp drive, so forcing people to use micro warp drives against us is really useful, and it gives the Kestrel a big advantage. And if you can just use the advantages of your ship like that, you can kill players with much more skill points than you in faction frigates. So here's another Comet fight. This time it's sped up quite a bit because it's kind of like the same fight over and over again, but just get scram and web on them at the edge, and if you can just start the fight at 10 kilometers and killing smack talkers like this guy, who is one of the worst smack talkers in factional warfare, as his is Corporation, you can take down these Federation Navy comets in your Kestrel with 9 million skill points in factional warfare. Hope you enjoyed this video.